everyone. How's everyone doing? Almost ready for the happy hour? It's not going to take long, but today I'm going to share with you guys the vision that I have for the future of video content delivery using decentralized CDNs. But before I get into the topic of today's presentation, I quickly want to introduce myself. So my name is Rakesh Gidwani, and I'm a father, a husband, a technologist at heart, and an investor. Professionally, I have over 2 decades of experience, where I spent the first decade of my career working at investment banks, building trading systems. And then in the second decade of my career, I focused on working at a bunch of different startups in a variety of engineering leadership roles. And I was lucky enough to be part of companies like Jet.com, Voyager, where I learned a lot, not just about building technology products, but also building successful businesses. Currently, I am the CTO and partner at Protagonist, which is an early stage investment fund. And we invest in both Web2 and Web3 companies. And then as a part of the fund, I'm also working on an incubation project. And today's topic is sort of inspired by the research that I have done for this incubation project. So what are content delivery networks, or CDNs for short? CDNs are essentially the backbone of our internet, where what CDNs do is they take the content of the web and they place it on servers that are geographically distributed around the globe. And the primary goal is to get the content to the end user faster. Right? So in the last decade, the overall internet traffic has increased significantly. And the primary contributor for this increase is the video consumption. So if you think about like almost 10 years back, we were seeing trends where we were talking about like an increased adoption of Netflix and services like YouTube. But since then, we've come a long way, where one, we have a lot more content providers or content producers. And then two, the quality of this content has improved significantly, where we've gone from 720p, 1080p content to these days we view 4K, 8K, HDR content. And then during the same time, the consumer behavior has evolved significantly, where the consumer is consuming majority of their entertainment using streaming media. And the behavior is also such that usually consumers consume multiple devices at the same time. So who are some of the traditional CDN providers, right? So companies like Akamai, Cloudflare, AWS CloudFront provide generic CDN capabilities, right? So they basically provide a capability to store any kind of content geographically distributed around the globe. Then there are more specialized networks, like for example, Netflix's OpenConnect, which basically specializes in caching of the video content. Now, the CDNs in the last decade have done an amazing job of bringing the content closer to the user. And the way they do that is they basically place these servers strategically at different data centers around the world so that they can get the most optimal path to reach majority of the users. So obviously the major benefits of this approach are it helps improve the latency that the customer gets when they're trying to access the content on the internet, the quality of experience of the user when either watching videos or browsing the web goes up significantly. And then this approach also helps in reducing the bandwidth costs. But then as we head into the next decade of content delivery, where the number of consumers who are consuming this content is going to continue to grow, the quality of content is going to continue to get better, these CDNs have several challenges. So one, so imagine you're in New York and you're trying to watch a movie on Netflix. You're most likely connecting to a CDN server which is located somewhere in New York, right? But if you're trying to watch the same movie, let's say in Minnesota, you're probably connecting to a CDN server that might be in, let's say, Ohio, right? Or might be a few states away. But then if you go even further, let's say a remote town in India, you're probably connecting to a CDN server which is maybe 10 states away, or maybe even in a different country. right? So the quality of experience for users around the world is not the same as the quality of experience that you get in the metros. And then when these traditional CDN providers, they have to prepare for the next decade and adopt to the, the growing consumer demand as well as the improving quality of content, they have to incur a significant amount of CapEx to upgrade their networks. So the solution or the vision that I have is essentially building decentralized CDNs, which are powered by the internet service providers, which means the content will be cached at the ISP locations, which are the closest to the user. Next, we want to utilize the open caching standard, which basically makes it easy for the content providers to integrate with the network, and content providers globally can start leveraging this capability to cache their content. Finally, we want to utilize blockchain for providing incentives, and this basically enables transparent attribution as well as being able to provide incentives to the participants or the ISPs based on the work that they perform. So first question is, what's the benefit of bringing the content closer to the ISP or bringing the content at the ISP location? So when you bring the content at the ISP location, this is the closest server that you talk to when you're connecting to the internet, either from your house or from your office or from wherever you are. So by bringing content at the ISP location, you're basically improving the quality of experience significantly. And then two, you're also significantly saving on the bandwidth costs, right? So by caching the content at the last mile, you save significantly. You bring the content once and then serve it multiple times. And then finally, what we see this as is improving the resource utilization for the ISPs. So companies that are in the business of internet service providing or internet service provision, they've already invested in resources which are servers that are very powerful. They already have the high network bandwidth because they're selling that bandwidth to their users. So we want to reuse these resources and make these routers which are sitting at the ISP location, transform them from being dumb routers to smart routers. A question that a lot of people ask me is, why decentralize it? Right, so one, we want to utilize the existing resources that the ISPs already have, and this is only possible if you build a decentralized network and enable these ISPs to join the network. Second, because of the decentralization aspect, ISPs will be very easily able to join this network and become a part of this success story. So imagine a scenario where an ISP in the remote part of the world joins this network and now is able to provide the same viewing experience for the Netflix movie that you get in New York. That's amazing, right? And then finally, the key benefit of blockchain is transparent incentivization, where you can actually verify the proof of the work that the ISP nodes have done using cryptographic techniques. And then based on those proofs, you can incentivize these nodes and provide incentives that are commensurate with, like, let's say, their uptime, the amount of content they've cached, the amount of content they've served. So it makes blockchain super useful in this scenario. So the future that I envision is essentially a new type of a CDN, which is the decentralized CDN, which is powered by the ISPs. And the ISPs play a very critical role in the optimized last mile delivery of the content. And then utilizing the power of blockchain, we want to make the incentives more transparent and seamless. But then what excites me a lot more than all of this is the potential of basically innovating on top of this network. So imagine we built this network and now the entrepreneurs of the future or the developers of the future, they have access to build innovative use case on top of this network. I think that unlocks an amazing capability that will unlock a lot of innovation in this space. So I know it's a very short time to cover this kind of topic, which is highly technical. But if this is something that you find exciting or are interested in talking more about or being a part of it in some shape or form, feel free to reach out. I'm going to be around for a bit. And here's my contact information as well in case you would like to reach out. So thank you so much for your time. Yes. Yes, absolutely.
You mentioned something around user behavior going from 480 to 960 to 4K resolution having a big driver of like demand. If I were to see the devil's advocate argument to that, say we're flipping, actually we're going to go back to 480 and we're just going to regenerate everything on the other end or enhance it with AI and do inference, we don't need any bandwidth for that. Does that reduce the
So
utility of an
that's actually a very interesting question. So let's say we were able to do that, right? So the fourth point that I talked about, which was innovative use cases, right? So we want to build this network, and this is just one part of the vision. The grand vision is to basically build a decentralized edge compute cloud, which means going to your use case, if you are basically creating 480p videos, transferring it to the edge, and now at the edge you're performing the compute. So that's where ISPs can help as well, and that's where, like, you know, when I talk about making the ISPs more smart, like for this presentation, I just wanted to focus on the video use case, but our vision is grand where we want this to be a decentralized edge compute cloud, where you'll have the compute capabilities at the edge as well. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.